See that lone pine up on that hill over there? What are we actually doing right now? The kids are just wild out there. They're wild. But they're having a good time, you know? They're having a good time. This is Untamed Unbroken, the Adventurer's Guide, and I'm your host, Blake Bredesen. Welcome to Untamed Unbroken. Today we are talking about first-time camping anxiety, bear anxiety, and tips to overcome. So if this is your first time camping, you're a little anxious about it, you have some fears, this is for you. And so this is just my advice for those first-time campers, and this is just some general advice. This isn't a one-size-fits-all or anything like that. It's going to be different for everybody. Got about 10 things to go through here. So number one, you just want to start small. Start with a short camping trip. Start in your backyard. Go somewhere really close to home. Go for one night. Do something really small to dip your toes in the water, so to speak. Some people will be like, nah, just go for it. But let's be realistic. If you have anxiety about going, especially if you're going by yourself or those fears, just start small. Just do something small, do something close to home. If you have a friend with some land, go camp on their land. I would really recommend just going, if you're going to go do some car camping or just go to a campground. Do some tent camping there, drive your car right up to the campsite, have all your gear, have all the things you need, and just start small. Go for a night or 2 nights. I really would recommend going 2 nights. Just because that first night, you might not always sleep the best, but you get that second night and usually things are starting to go better, right? Or maybe it's just going great the whole time. But anyway, start small. That's number one. Number two, camp with others. Go with a friend or multiple friends. Go with family. Go with someone who has gone before, can show you some things, teach you some things, so you're not just doing this on a whim with another beginner. Or that's another option. That's another actually great option, is go with somebody that is their first time as well. And you guys can learn those things together. So a couple options there, but go with somebody. So we got start small and go with somebody, whether that's a friend, a family, someone who's experienced in camping, or also a beginner just like you. Number 3 is to learn some basic skills. So learn some of those basic camping skills, like knowing how to set up your tent, tying some simple knots, tying up a clothesline, tying up a ridge line that you can hang your tarp over and set up a tarp, knowing how to start a fire, and then knowing some basic camp cooking stuff, some basic skills. Practicing those ahead of time, it's going to give you the confidence and will help really alleviate some of that anxiety going in. If you have some skills nailed down, you know how to do a few things around camp beforehand, it's going to help alleviate that anxiety because you'll know how to do some things. You're still learning, so you're not maybe proficient at it yet, but that's okay. Number 4, choose a familiar location. So this kind of goes in with the start small thing, right? So choose a campsite that's close to home or just in a familiar area to reduce that feeling of the unknown. It's like, yes, you're camping. You might not be super familiar with that, but the surrounding area is familiar to you. So maybe it's a campground that is on the outskirts of a town that you're familiar with, or in a town that you're familiar with. That can help as well. Number 5, be prepared. Plan and pack thoroughly. Just knowing you have the right gear, the right clothing, and knowing what to expect can alleviate that anxiety as well, and you start to eliminate some of those fears. This could be as simple as, all right, you're camping here, we're going to camp there. The Bathrooms are over here if you're in a campground. You check in there. We know how to set up our tent. If you're going somewhere that's not a campground, maybe you've done a map, kind of a map study. If you looked at the maps and been like, yep, we're camping over here, and this is our trail to get there. And you know some of these ahead of time, and you're not just winging it. So a little planning and preparing. I have a whole episode about planning. I have a whole episode about preparing. Now, we're generally talking about wilderness trips in those examples, but a lot of that will translate to any kind of camping, especially the planning and preparing phase. So, number 6, educate yourself. Do some research. Learn about the surroundings. Learn about local wildlife. This is going to help you just feel a little bit more in control. Number 7, stay positive. Focus on the positive aspects of camping. Focus on the fact that you get to learn something, not the fact that you don't know what you're doing, but the fact that you're learning something new and you're growing. Focus on that. Focus on the fact that you get to enjoy nature and unplug from the daily stressors of life. Number 8, have an exit plan. Knowing that you can leave if you need to just provides a little safety net. Normally, first time camping, I'm like, don't do that. But, you got to be flexible, though. I've done it with my daughter. One of our first times where I brought her up, way up in northern Minnesota at a rustic campground, no cell service or anything like that. We're just tent camping at a campground. So truck is, I call this car camping. I'm not sleeping in my car, but we're pulling the vehicle right up to the campsite. That's what I call car camping. But I was flexible in the fact that we bailed after one night. We were planning on 2 nights, but we left the evening of our second day there. Sometimes that happens. And it was good. She still had a fantastic time. There were just some unfortunate circumstances with our campsite. We reserved one. Other people took it. It was late in the evening. I didn't kick them out. The campsite we did decide to stay in, we got kicked out of the following day. It was just a little bit of a cluster, but we adapted and we were flexible, and we ended up leaving. And it was kind of a good thing we did leave. She ended up getting sick that night, like on the way home. So that's number 8. That can ease your anxieties, just knowing like we're close to home, we can leave, and we'll be okay. Number 9, distract yourself. This is a perfect place to read a book, meditate, calm the mind, go out on a walk or a hike, enjoy nature, do camping games, plan some games or activities in camp, have a drink if that's your thing. That's one of my things. I'm camping, especially family camping, having a beer, having a drink, something. I definitely enjoy 1 or 3, you know what I mean? Tune into the sounds of nature. Just listen, the feeling it gives you, the sense of calm. Sit down, stop, take a breath, and let all those real world distractions go. There's no place for any of that crap when you're out camping. So just let it go. Number 10, embrace the experience. Understand that discomfort and uncertainty are part of the adventure. It's part of the learning process. It's part of the growing process. Remember, you're new. It's okay to be new. It's okay to be a beginner. That's how you learn something. That's how you get better at something. Everybody starts at 0. And just embrace that learning process because it's fun. It's really fun. You're allowed to learn and experience something new, and it's okay for that to elicit anxiety and fears. That's not out of the ordinary. You're pushing your comfort zone, you're growing, and that's a good thing. Now, when it comes to bear anxiety, if you have that anxiety of the bears, avoid going camping to places with bears. It's very unlikely you're going to see a bear. So do the proper, I have a whole another episode just about bear awareness. But storing your food properly is the biggest thing. Cleaning up camp, making sure there's no garbage and no food laying around camp. At really busy campgrounds, this isn't as big of an issue, but at some big campgrounds way up, at least in northern Minnesota, where they're big and they're very wooded, they can have a local bear that just kind of rummages through garbage that's left at campsites. So if you keep your campsite clean and picked up, it's just another reason for that bear not to stick around or even come in, because he's like, oh, there's really nothing here. We'll move on. That might not help you, but it's just know that bears want to avoid humans. And so you're not likely to see one. Let's review real quick. I'm just going to list the 10. Start small. Camp with others. Learn some basic skills. Choose a familiar location. Be prepared. Do some research. Educate yourself. Stay positive. Have that exit plan. Distract yourself. Have some fun activities, nature, go on a walk, go on a hike, and embrace the experience. Embrace the learning process. Camping can be so much fun. And those first few times can be nerve-wracking, and that's all right. So get out there, have some fun, and stay wild. Thank you for sticking around. If you've enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a rating and review. Even one word, it helps a ton. Sincerely appreciate you guys. Thank you all, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay wild.
You've been listening to Untamed, Unbroken, a Lone Pine Adventures original podcast.